A quarry just broke his silence, finally addressing why his own brother allegedly had a hand in setting up Duke the jeweler. And he didn't just talk. He came with receipts, lining up some heavy accusations. In the middle of that storm, Boosie decided to jump in and give his side of things. The whole situation around the quarry, Duke's death, and these connections has turned into pure chaos. Now folks are seriously questioning if Boosie and his circle are as untouchable as they want the world to think. Duke's murder shook the streets. He was gunned down in Houston right after the dice game, where word is he walked away stacking up heavy winnings. But here's what really raised his eyebrows. Just before his death, Duke and Boosie were spotted chilling together. Duke even snapped a picture with him, posted it to Instagram.
Some dudes that tried to rob me and walked off by himself, bro. I had just met dude yesterday.
And tragically, that post ended up being one of his last. Now Boosie's out here downplaying it all, saying he barely even knew Duke. According to him, Duke just happened to show up at one of his concerts, hung around for a bit, and then left alone once the show wrapped. But that version of events isn't sitting right with a lot of people. Fans are pulling receipts, questioning timelines, and pointing out just how convenient it sounds. And the deeper this goes, the more it feels like somebody's story just ain't adding up. Boosie later pulled up on Vlad TV to try clearing the air, swearing up and down he had nothing to do with Duke the jeweler's murder. According to him, Duke wasn't even his people like that. He said they crossed paths at a dice game, chopped it up a little, then right after, boom, Duke ended up gone. Boosie even admitted it could have been him if timing was different, like he was low-key spooked at how close it all went down. He insisted Duke walked off solo to the lot, and that's when the ambush happened. He doubled down, saying his crew too well off to be plotting over dice money. But here's where the streets ain't buying it. Boosie might have said all the right things, but the fact Duke literally posted with him hours before his death ain't just coincidence. It's a red flag. And Boosie knows it too. That's why he kept repeating that these rumors don't match his character. But when you've got to talk that much to prove innocence, people start questioning. That Vlad TV interview alone had folks side-eyeing his whole credibility. The more he tried to explain, the messier it got. What makes it worse is Boosie's crew doesn't normally move unless there's real stakes. He bragged that his people are financially straight, so why would they risk it all robbing a jeweler? Unless there's more to the story than he's willing to admit. And that's when TQ jumped in, airing out old family beef, fraud, favoritism, all that messy history. Now TQ is claiming he's got receipts proving Duke got set up. And the real question becomes, why is TQ coming at his own brother like this unless there's some truth hiding in plain sight? Let's rewind the night. Duke the jeweler, heavy name out of Chicago, landed in Houston Labor Day weekend 2022. Word is he came down to lock in some serious business with Boosie, carrying over $1 million in jewelry and cash. Same day, he hit a celebrity boxing match, then pulled up to a private dice game with Boosie and others in the room. Boosie admitted Duke gambled heavy, but said he didn't win a dime. Still, Duke wasn't pressed. He kept it cool. Later, Duke even agreed to ice Boosie with a custom chain out of respect. Then came the concert. Duke showed up, rocked with the crowd, and left alone afterward. But he never made it home. Witnesses say two masked dudes jumped out a black GMC, lit him up, and peeled off with his jewelry and bag. Straight surgical hit. Too clean to be random. Boosie's been pushing the same line since. Duke left solo. Somebody else must have been plotting from the jump. Now the feds are locked in, looking at every single person in that room. Was it a setup or just perfect timing? Either way, no suspects, no charges, no justice. And here's where things get sticky. Right after Duke's death, Boosie got pulled over in what looked like a routine stop, but the timing had folks raising eyebrows. Internet detectives started connecting dots, and when the Fed stepped in, they made it clear this was a separate investigation, not just another rapper headline. Duke's brother, Stax, didn't hold back either. He flat out said he believes Boosie lined his brother up. He's been digging through footage, timestamps, everything. To him, this wasn't random. It was a setup, and then came the real bombshell. Reports surfaced that Houston PD allegedly found Duke's Louis Vuitton bag, stuffed with his jewelry, inside Boosie's house. Not a locker, not a homie holding it. His actual house. Supposedly, Duke asked Boosie to hold it during the dice game, but after Duke was killed, the bag never went back to his family. No paperwork, no explanation. On top of that, Duke's phone vanished too. No one's seen it. No one's talking. For the streets, that's way too much smoke to be ignored. The pattern's wild. Duke came to Houston stacked, linked with Boosie, hit the dice game, and ended up dead. His bag winds up in Boosie's possession, and his phone mysteriously goes missing. But phones don't just vanish, they leave a digital trail. And the feds traced Duke's last ping straight to Boosie's recording studio before it went dark. That was the dead giveaway. Unless Duke's phone walked there by itself, someone in Boosie's circle had it. Either they got sloppy, or they didn't care who was watching. When the feds popped open Duke's rental truck, they were bracing for date, but not the kind they actually found. Turns out, Boosie's own nephew's fingerprints were all over it. That's not just messy, that's family blood tied straight to the crime scene. And before the smoke cleared, his little cousin's name got dragged into it too. That's two family members connected directly. Forget gossip. This was hard forensic proof the feds couldn't ignore. Then came the witness. Just a regular bystander who stepped out to smoke, and what they saw was chilling. Duke walked out of Boosie's spot calm, business as usual. But Boosie's nephew didn't stroll from the front. He slid out the side, like he'd been posted, waiting. Some folks are saying that move scream setup. According to Fed docs and street talk, Duke actually tried to swing first. He wasn't caught slipping. But Boosie's nephew had the drop, pulled the strap, and seconds later it was over. This wasn't random beef. It looked personal, calculated. And the twist? Duke's jewelry wasn't just taken, it was kept. His pieces allegedly stayed in the hands of Boosie's cousin and crew. Doesn't matter if it was robbery or refusal to return it. The point is they had it. That's why the feds started pressing harder. They saw it less like a street hit and more like a family job. And while Boosie kept playing innocent, the puzzle pieces weren't looking good for him. But the Duke case isn't Boosie's only war. He's been at odds with his own brother, TQ, for years. And this ain't some petty sibling fallout. This is full-on betrayal. Lawsuits, fraud allegations, and over $360,000 drained from Boosie's bank account. Court docs say TQ forged Boosie's signature, finesse money, and even played a role in sneaking Young Blue's contract over to Empire behind his back. That's not family drama. That's legal betrayal in ink. TQ, of course, denies all of it, says Boosie's tripping, that none of it happened. But Boosie ain't budging. He's been clear he no longer considers TQ or his side of the family blood. And it cuts deeper than business. Boosie says even their own mother always sided with TQ. He feels like no matter what is done, no matter how much is given, he's still the outsider. Worse, his mom's apparently asked him to drop the lawsuits, like TQ's betrayal didn't even matter. Boosie calls it lifelong favoritism. Says TQ's always been the golden child, while he had to fight for every ounce of respect. Now he's not only carrying the financial betrayal, but years of emotional scars that got ripped wide open. From the outside, it's tragic. Nobody wants to see brothers warring this hard. But let's be real, $360K forgery isn't something you just hug out on Thanksgiving. That's scars and lawsuits, not reconciliation. And for Boosie, it looks like family ties are dead. And it doesn't end there, because Jay Prince's name keeps circling the Duke case too. In Houston, Jay Prince built his whole reputation on the check-in culture. If you fly in, you tap in with him, or else. That's the rule. But if Duke really checked in and still ended up dead, that throws the whole system in question. Folks are whispering, did someone give the green light? Because Duke was seen gambling with both Boosie and Jay Prince Jr. just hours before the hit. Jay Prince wasn't having it. He came out swinging, saying people needed to stop connecting dots with no proof. No charges, no suspects, no evidence. Just his name in the mix because of reputation. He clapped back at law enforcement and the media for painting him into a narrative without receipts. And Jay Prince Jr. doubled down too, saying straight up that neither Duke's death nor takeoffs had anything to do with setups, dice games, or mob ties. According to Jay Prince, the whole thing was nothing but tragic timing. He made it clear his crew had no hand in it. Legally, there's nothing sticking to them. No suspects named, no solid evidence, no case filed with their names on it. But let's be real, hip-hop don't move on paperwork. This is about energy, about perception. When you're a figure like Jay Prince, Folks assume you're either running the show or at least aware of what's happening in your house. And when blood spills in your orbit, people want answers, proof or no proof. That's the curse of influence. Jay Prince's name lit up the internet, not off receipts but off vibes. People felt like the story didn't add up. Suddenly, the whole check-in culture started looking shaky. If checking in doesn't guarantee safety, then what's the point? Is it respect, or is it just extortion with a bow on it? That's the conversation the streets were having. And while Jay Prince brushed it off, saying just because his name rings bells don't mean he's the one ringing them, the timing, the ties, and the Houston backdrop made people keep whispering. Charleston White wasn't whispering, though. He was shouting. He said Duke's death broke him because a man should have been safe in that environment. But instead, it turned into another sad chapter in black-on-black violence. And Charleston didn't hesitate to point at mob ties, especially Jay Prince Jr. and his camp. In his eyes, they're running Houston in a way that makes it dangerous for rappers. He claims these check-ins lead artists straight into dice game that ain't nothing but setups. And according to Charleston, that's exactly what happened to Duke. He says Duke walked in thinking he was good, but the game was already stacked against him. For Charleston, it's not just about one incident. It's about a system where protection is just another name for extortion. He's been hammering that point. The industry is letting a toxic cycle go unchecked, and Duke's death is proof it ain't random. It's calculated, and it's ugly. Meanwhile, Boosie's name is heating up again. The feds have been circling him for years, and even though he's beat plenty of charges, that spotlight never fades. Add in resurfaced fraud allegations tied to his brother TQ, and suddenly old dots start looking like they could connect. When one person in the circle gets jammed, the feds tug on every string. And with Boosie's history of never backing down, he makes himself an even bigger target. As for Jay Prince, every time something major goes down in Houston, whether it's Takeoff, Duke, or Dice Games, his name floats to the surface. Officially, he stays clean. But when your name keeps popping up in enough different tragedies, that smoke can turn into fire real quick. Law enforcement hasn't moved yet, but the eyes are watching. The question now is simple. Do Boosie and Jay Prince keep skating by, or is the hammer finally coming down? And at the heart of it all, Duke's mistake may have been too much respect. Too much love in a world that don't give it back. When you show someone more loyalty than they show you, they start to think you're a pawn. They'll push boundaries, they'll test you, they'll play you. That's human nature. And in Duke's case, that loyalty might have been the very thing that left him wide open. Come down here, we can gamble, and I'll make sure you straight. That's the promise Duke heard. But let's be honest, what does that even mean? I'll make sure you straight is the vaguest thing you can tell somebody walking in with $1 million chain. Does that mean you got the money ready? Does that mean you're guaranteeing safety? Or is it just another way of saying, trust me, bro? And in the streets, trust me, bro is the biggest red flag you'll ever get. Because real security doesn't come with vague promises. Real security comes with obligations, like police, guards, contracts. If something goes down, they respond. But in this case, I'll make sure you straight had no standard, no accountability. It really just meant, bring all your assets here and hope for the best. That's not protection. That's an invitation to get played. And pulling up with 7 figures worth of jewelry, with no wire transfer, no contracts, no safety net, that's like walking into the lion's den with stakes strapped to your chest. Duke should have never gone into that room thinking loyalty and love would cover him. That's the danger of showing too much respect to people who don't return it. When you meet someone on their turf, with their whole crew around, you've already lost leverage. And let's be real, if this was truly business, why not meet one-on-one in a neutral, public place? Why not wire the money? Why not set terms like a real deal? Because the truth is, vague promises only serve the people who already plan to backdoor you. And that's exactly why Boosie's explanations don't sit right. He claims Duke was already being targeted, that it was out of his hands. But how would somebody else know Duke was in Houston for that meeting? He wasn't on tour. He wasn't advertising. The only people who knew were the ones in the room. And the more Boosie talks, the more it sounds like guilty over-explaining. If you really weren't involved, why not let your lawyer speak? Why keep addressing it like a man caught with his hand in the cookie jar? It's the same playbook we've seen with other rappers caught in messy situations. Look at T Grizzly, caught up in messy family drama, accused of backdooring his so-called Aunt Jobina Brown. The details are wild, from relationships with family members to shady moves that scream a lack of moral code. And that's the point. When someone shows you they are willing to cross lines in their personal life, it's not hard to imagine them crossing lines in business. Backdooring ain't just a move, it's a mindset. At the end of the day, guilty people always talk too much. They scramble, they explain, they try to make sense of things that can't be justified. You can't reverse actions, you can't erase footage, and you can't talk your way out of vibes. And in that viral video, Boosie hovering over Duke looked less like a business partner and more like a starving hyena circling prey. That image alone tells a story the words can't hide. Bro, let's talk about that video. Why is Bowie standing behind Duke like that? Why is he hovering over him, breathing down his neck like a man starving for air? That's not normal body language. Give dude his space. You don't line up right behind somebody at a dice game unless you're plotting, or on some other type of timing. And we know Bowie don't move zesty like that. So which is it? See, that's where Occam's razor comes in. The simplest explanation is usually the right one. A man with $1 million worth of jewelry is sitting there, and Bowie's right behind him like a hungry hyena. Do we really need to jump through mental gymnastics to figure this out? Was the room too small? Nah, we see open space in the video. Was Bowie just vibing? Nah, that don't match his usual character. The simplest answer, he was setting up the play. And that's a problem. If Duke had just pocket-watched a little harder, he would have realized Bowie ain't in position to drop a clean million on a chain. Let's be real, even top rappers don't move like that. Baby rocking $300,000 pieces. Drake might touch $1 million chain, but that's Drake. Bowie, he's not streaming like Kai. He's not signing $100 million contracts like Bruce. He's not pulling Aiden Ross casino money. He's rich, yeah, but not that rich. Not wire $1 million in a day rich. So, what was Duke really expecting? A man promising, I'll make sure you straight. With no paperwork, no wire, no neutral ground. That's not business. That's bait. And the sad part? That one decision, that one misplaced trust, cost Duke everything. It's harsh, but that's the truth. He trusted the wrong man. Because Bowie, for all his success, has shown before he doesn't move with integrity. The stories about him letting kids take charges for him, dodging accountability, that paints a picture. Yeah, he beat the odds, he got rich, but that doesn't automatically mean he's loyal or moral or somebody you can trust with your life. In fact, when someone tells you straight up they'll crash out, believe them, because that means if it benefits them, you're getting thrown under the bus. At the end of the day, actions tell the story louder than words. And in that video, Bowie hovering behind Duke didn't look like friendship, didn't look like business. It looked like a predator circling prey. And when you line that up with everything else, the simplest explanation is probably the right one. See, I don't play with people who openly say they are willing to crash out. Online talk is one thing, but if someone in real life tells you they'll risk it all, I take them at their word. Why would I test that? That's not a gamble you come back from. When somebody brags about being reckless, you have to believe them. And that's exactly where Duke messed up. He trusted words instead of watching actions. Because here's the truth. When you're dealing with short-term thinkers, people who chase instant gratification, you can't be reactionary. By the time you react, it's too late. You're already getting backdoored. You're already facing a switchy. And once it's out, it's over. So the only real play is to move preemptively, to see the setup before it happens. That's survival in the game. Now, maybe it wasn't Bowie, I still believe it was. But let's be fair. When you walk into a dice game flashing $1 million in jewels, anyone in that room could have marked you. Maybe some random dude dipped out, grabbed his boys, and waited for Duke to leave. That's always possible. But let's be honest, possible doesn't mean likely. Backdoors don't happen randomly. They are planned. And Duke was a target. Still, even if Bowie swears is innocent, Duke made himself way too vulnerable. That's just facts. You can't walk into a hood spot looking like a walking bank vault and think love will protect you. Even someone with so-called integrity might switch up when they see seven figures dangling in front of them. Temptation changes people, and Duke handed them every opportunity on a silver platter. That's why Bowie's defense low-key makes sense but still don't hold. He's right about one thing. Anyone could have done it, but let's not twist that into random chance. The concept of a backdoor is never random. It's deliberate. It's premeditated. Somebody plotted, somebody moved, and somebody cashed in on Duke's trust. That's why this whole story stinks. And what hurts the most? This tragedy was avoidable. Duke wasn't battling cancer. He didn't get unlucky with his health. No, this was different. This was betrayal mixed with bad judgment. All he had to do was keep his guard up, not put blind faith in Bowie, and maybe he'd still be alive. But instead, jealousy, envy, and foul behavior took him out. So, I'll ask you all, could Duke have avoided this fate? Was it always Bowie, or just the environment he walked into? Drop your thoughts below, because this ain't just a story about one man. This is a warning to anybody out here moving with sharks while wearing blood in the water. R.I.P. Duke. Gone too soon, but not forgotten.